Are lazy people happier than the rest of us? What does the research say? Come along as I share the surprising competitive advantages lazy people use to stay one step ahead of everyone else. I grew up on a farm. What does that mean? Well, to the average person, when they associate a person growing up on a farm, in their minds, they think hard work. That person works hard. That person has good work ethic. That person doesn't shy away from difficulty. That person has the qualities to lead a well-adjusted life. That person is setting themselves up for future success. That's a person I'm going to want to work with. That's a person that's not going to take no for an answer. That's a person that's creative. That's a person that's inventive. The one thing you won't hear about that person is, that person is lazy. I don't think so. My earliest memories of working at that farm was my siblings and I, we would wake up before the sun was up. And after school, we'd go back to the farm, put in some more work, then go home to do our homework. So I know what it is to work hard. And the word lazy has often been used historically to label and shame a person who's not industrious, to shame a person who's not enthusiastic, who's not motivated, who's not inspired to grind, to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and go all in. And is that label of being lazy as true today as it was back then? What does current research say about the word lazy, about lazy people? A few research studies that I've looked at actually said that lazy people are likely smarter and more successful than other people. So my question is, are lazy people happier than the rest of us? And what sets them apart? And based on my study, there are some competitive advantages that lazy people employ. If you Google Elon Musk lazy, you're going to see some articles. And the first one says, how do Americans feel about Elon calling them lazy compared to Chinese? And obsession with unrealistic work ethic is not something new for Elon. Of course, we all know that he's a CEO of many companies. And this is an interesting statement, but is Elon the spokesperson for what a hard worker ought to be? That person that grinds, that person that gives 100%, that person that works 100 hours a week. I'm not sure if he's the right individual because just from my perspective, he is an outlier. He ventures on the extreme. Maybe that's why he's one of the richest individuals on the planet. He's willing to do things that other people in their right minds will not consider in 1,000 lifetimes. I don't think it's healthy to work 100 hours a week. I've done an average for consecutive years, like 80 some hours a week, 84 hours, 90 hours a week. So I've done that. And of course, my wealth is nothing compared to Elon, relatively speaking. And if you were to compare a person who does 40 hours versus 60 or 100 hours, would you say the person working 40 hours is lazy? I don't know if you can draw that conclusion with any level of accuracy or truth, because once again, it's relative. Elon feels that in order for him to accomplish his goals, he needs to work 100 hours. Other people might see that they only need to do 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week, and hit their targets, because not everyone has the same goals. Not everyone has the aspiration to be a billionaire. Not everyone has the aspiration to be the CEO of a multinational corporation. So it just depends on what a person's goal is. But that doesn't take away from the fact that research is still suggesting that lazy people are more successful and smarter than their counterparts. So based on my research, here are the 5 competitive advantages that lazy people use to stay one step ahead of everyone else. Number 1. They delegate and trust the people to do their jobs. So going back to the farm example I gave you, I grew up on a farm. My family did not own the farm. My dad did not own the farm. We worked for a wealthy individual, and he had many of the attributes that we would assign to what a lazy person is. But the thing was, he was wealthy and he had other people, i.e. my dad and my dad's kids and other members of the community doing his work, working for him. So that's one of the competitive advantages that lazy people have over everyone else. Number 2, they use other people's resources, including their time and their money, to accomplish their goals. Number 3, lazy people are incredibly creative and they avoid doing unproductive things. So if you task a lazy person with something that they've never done, the first thing that person is going to do is seek someone else out who's done the work before. They're going to make the phone calls. They're going to walk through the office cubicles. They're going to find someone who is better at doing that than them and utilize that person's expertise, utilize that person's manpower to execute the assignment, to execute that scope of work. There's this quote attributed to Bill Gates. He said that if you want a hard task done, give it to a lazy person, because that person will find creative ways to solve that problem efficiently, timely, under cost, ahead of schedule. Number 4, lazy people stick to what they know and they do not experiment. So could it be that a lazy person excels because what they do is within their intellectual wheelhouse, what they do is within their competence, their niche? Hence, they're going to look like superstars in anything they do because they're not going to venture outside of their competence, which to me makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you stick with what you know? But here's the thing, lazy people are not just good at it, they're incredibly good at it. And on top of sticking with what they know, they have others to do what they know so others can execute for them, and they sit back and they'll get all the praise, they'll get all the congratulations, and they'll get all the credit. And don't get it twisted, they do not mind not getting any of the credit. Once the job is done, once they can meet their deadline, they don't care who gets the credit, but if they get credit in the process, they're excited. It's a bonus for them. Number 5, something has to be really good before a lazy person decides to work on it. So you're not going to waste a lazy person's time, because time is what they know they don't have a lot of, and they try to maximize their time. They try to be as efficient as possible. So if they know something can be done in 5 hours, they're not going to take 10 hours to do it. What they're going to do is focus their energy on something that's directly related to what their goal is. If it's not related to their goal, they're not going to do it. If it's not something good, they're not going to do it. It has to be something that they can convert into value. It has to be something that shows a positive net gain. So they're not going to put themselves in any situation where a loss is expected or where imminent failure is going to be the end result. They're going to always look for the easiest path, the most efficient means by which to accomplish something, and hence their level of success. So what do you think? Do you think lazy people actually have an advantage over everyone else? And do you think these competitive strategies that lazy people use, are those reasons solid enough to make them happier than the rest of us? What do you think? Here's a bonus competitive advantage that lazy people employ to get ahead and stay ahead of everyone else, and that is they're adaptable. A lazy person does not care if they're the leader, if they're the worker, if they're the top or they're the bottom. Once the task gets done and the boss knows that they were partly responsible for executing that task on a high level, that's all that matters to them. They're not seeking first place. They're not seeking attention. They're not trying to be the number one employee. They're not trying to win employee of the year, employee of the month. All they're here to do is get their work done, go home, be with their family, hang with their family, enjoy their weekends, come back, rinse and repeat. They want to just float under the radar, work for 30 years, collect their pension, and have a good life. That's all they want to do. And they just want to be left alone. So what do you think? What else do you think is a competitive advantage lazy people use to get ahead and stay ahead of everyone else? And do you think those advantages give them the upper hand as it relates to being happier than everyone else? Let me know what you think. And remember this, whatever follows I am, you become.